Pennsylvania is one of those states whose story is much bigger than its borders. Officially called the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, it sits at a crossroads of American geography and history. It belongs to the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, Appalachia, and even the Great Lakes region all at once. That overlap matters, because Pennsylvania has never been just one thing. It is urban and rural, mountainous and industrial, colonial and modern. It helped launch the United States politically, helped power it economically, and helped define some of its most important conflicts. To understand Pennsylvania is to understand a state that connects the eastern seaboard to the interior, early American ideals to industrial might, and historic memory to modern innovation. On the map, Pennsylvania is surrounded by a dense web of neighbors. Delaware lies to the southeast, Maryland to the south, and West Virginia to the southwest. To the west is Ohio, while New York borders the north. Across the Delaware River to the east is New Jersey, and to the northwest, Pennsylvania reaches Lake Erie, where it has a connection to Ontario, Canada, by water. Its southern boundary with Maryland is especially famous because it forms part of the Mason-Dixon line, a boundary that later became symbolically associated with the divide between North and South. This location made Pennsylvania a meeting point between coastal trade and inland settlement, between northern and southern politics, and between different cultural regions of the country. Pennsylvania is the fifth most populous state in the United States, with more than 13 million residents recorded in the 2020 census. Yet it is only the 33rd largest state by land area, which helps explain why it ranks high in population density. Its people are not spread evenly across the landscape. The largest concentration is in the Philadelphia metropolitan area, centered on Philadelphia, the state's most populous city and one of the largest cities in the country. On the western side, Greater Pittsburgh forms the second major metropolitan region, built around Pennsylvania's second-largest city. Between these urban centers are smaller cities, towns, farmland, forests, and mountain valleys, creating a state with sharply different local identities. The geography of Pennsylvania is unusually varied. The Appalachian Mountains run through the center of the state, shaping travel routes, settlement patterns, and regional culture. The Allegheny Mountains and Pocono Mountains define large parts of the landscape, especially in the northeast and west. Nearly 60% of Pennsylvania is forested, giving it a greener character than many people expect from a state so strongly associated with factories, steel, and cities. Pennsylvania technically has no ocean coastline, but it still has important waterfronts. It touches Lake Erie in the northwest and has access to the tidal Delaware River in the east, which connects toward Delaware Bay and the Atlantic system. These waterways helped tie Pennsylvania to trade, migration, and industry. Pennsylvania's colonial story begins with William Penn, who received a royal land grant in 1681. The colony was named for Penn's father, and it became one of the most distinctive experiments in British North America. Before Penn's colony took shape, part of southeastern Pennsylvania had briefly belonged to New Sweden, a Swedish colony that existed from 1638 to 1655. But under Penn, Pennsylvania developed a reputation as a haven for religious and political tolerance. This was not just branding. Compared with many other colonies, Pennsylvania became known for religious pluralism, an innovative system of government, and relatively peaceful relations with native tribes during its early colonial period. That reputation attracted settlers seeking opportunity, stability, and freedom of conscience. Philadelphia quickly became the heart of colonial Pennsylvania and one of the most important cities in North America. Its location on the Delaware River made it a commercial hub, but its significance was also intellectual and political. The city grew into a place where printers, merchants, religious communities, and political thinkers crossed paths. By the time tensions rose between Britain and its colonies, Philadelphia was a natural gathering place for colonial leaders. It had the size, infrastructure, and symbolic weight to host serious political debate. In many ways, the city became the stage on which a collection of colonies began to imagine themselves as something more, a united political force capable of challenging an empire. Pennsylvania played a central role in the American Revolution. Philadelphia hosted the First Continental Congress and the Second Continental Congress, bringing together delegates from across the colonies. In 1775, the Second Continental Congress formed the Continental Army and placed George Washington in command. The next year, in Philadelphia, the delegates adopted the Declaration of Independence, one of the defining documents of modern political history. Pennsylvania was not simply a backdrop to these events. Its capital city provided the setting where revolutionary ideas were debated, formalized, and announced. Later, on December 12, 1787, Pennsylvania became the second state to ratify the United States Constitution, just after Delaware, helping legitimize the new federal system. The state's role in American history did not end with independence. During the Civil War, Pennsylvania became the site of the Battle of Gettysburg, fought in July 1863 around the town of Gettysburg. It was the bloodiest battle of the war, with more than 51,000 Union and Confederate casualties. Strategically, the battle mattered because it repelled the Confederacy's invasion of the North. Symbolically, it became one of the defining moments of the conflict. Gettysburg marked the terrible human cost of the war and became tied to the broader meaning of preserving the Union. When Americans remember the Civil War, Gettysburg often stands at the center of that memory, and that places Pennsylvania at the center of the nation's most devastating internal crisis. After the Civil War, Pennsylvania became a powerhouse of industry. In the late 19th and 20th centuries, its steel production and manufacturing economy helped build the physical infrastructure of the United States. Bridges, skyscrapers, rail lines, machinery, and military hardware all depended on the kinds of materials and industrial capacity Pennsylvania produced. Pittsburgh, in particular, became almost synonymous with steel. The state's coal, iron, rail connections, rivers, and labor force gave it an enormous role in turning the United States into an industrial nation. This industrial strength also mattered in wartime. Pennsylvania manufacturing contributed to American capacity in World War I, World War II, and the Cold War, when industrial output was inseparable from national power. Pennsylvania's two largest cities represent different sides of the state's identity. Philadelphia, in the east, is associated with colonial history, constitutional government, immigration, medicine, education, and dense urban culture. Pittsburgh, in the west, is associated with steel, rivers, labor, engineering, and reinvention. The distance between them is more than geographic. Each anchors a different region, economy, and cultural world. Philadelphia looks toward the Atlantic corridor and the cities of the East Coast. Pittsburgh looks toward Appalachia, the Midwest, and the industrial interior. Together, they make Pennsylvania a bridge state, linking multiple American regions rather than fitting neatly into just one. In the 21st century, Pennsylvania has worked to redefine itself beyond its old industrial image. The decline of heavy manufacturing changed many communities, but the state's major cities also developed strengths in education, healthcare, technology, and research. One modern nickname, the Silicon State, points to the role of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh in the development of immunotherapies to treat different cancers. That nickname combines cell with the technology world language of silicon, suggesting a new kind of innovation economy. It reflects how Pennsylvania's legacy of building things has not disappeared, it has shifted. Instead of only producing steel beams and machinery, parts of the state are now helping develop advanced medical treatments. Pennsylvania's importance comes from the way its many identities layer together. It is a commonwealth founded as a haven for tolerance, a state where revolutionary government took shape, a battlefield of national survival, an industrial engine, and a modern center of research in medicine. Its geography made it a connector, and its history made it consequential. From the Delaware River to Lake Erie, from Philadelphia's founding documents to Gettysburg's fields, from Pittsburgh's furnaces to today's laboratories, Pennsylvania has repeatedly stood near the center of American change. It is not just a place on the map. It is one of the states where the American project was argued, tested, built, and continually reinvented. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.